Stephanie.
With Ric Flair taken to a mental hospital last week, Nitro opened with a classic comedic skit with Flair going crazy in a mental hospital, treating the place like a hotel, while putting Nitro on television to watch with the rest of the patients in a show-long angle of Flair attempting to run the show from the institution through Charles Robinson after putting him as vice president of the company. Piper was out next saying that it's gonna be a big night as he's in charge of the show tonight, with him reinstating Randy Savage and booking him in a match against Scott Steiner for the US title and Savage's first match since last June, before calling out Page to the ring to set up Page defending the title against Sting, with Page initially refusing before Piper as commissioner forced him into the match and announcing it to start in 45 minutes at the top of the hour at 9 p.m. Both Nitro and Later in the Night Raw opened with a tribute to Rick Rude, who passed away last Tuesday in perhaps the highest profile death of the generation, with Rude one of the top names in the WWF and WCW over the past decade. Rude, who was forced to retire after a back injury in a match against Sting in '94, was recently working as an announcer on WCW's monthly DirecTV Nitro specials, with him reportedly training for a return to the ring in the months leading up to it. Sting and Page made their entrances 10 minutes from the top of the hour to start the match at 8:55 p.m., crossing into 9, a formula that proved to be one of the most successful for WCW in keeping the majority of its audience with a big star power title match when Raw goes on the air, including another Sting vs. Page title match last March which gained further at 9, and the match that still holds the all-time quarter record with the Page-Goldberg match last October. Sting and Page went 20 minutes first, picking up the final quarter of the first hour to a 5.1 rating for the entrances and first 5 minutes of the match, the highest rating in the unopposed hour in over a month, with the majority of the match opening the first head-to-head quarter holding practically the entire viewership, doing a 4.9, continuing the pattern, doing one of the lowest drops for the crossover segment in history, ending with Sting going over to win the title to a huge reaction. With the closing moments of the Backlash pay-per-view setting up Raw with the follow-up of Austin beating Rock with Shane's interference and Taker kidnapping Stephanie, Rock, who already got a mixed babyface reaction coming out, opened Raw for the response promo with the "finally" catchphrase for the first time to set the stage for the turn, going on to cut a promo on Austin saying that he beat him all over the building and walked out still the people's champ, before turning to Shane McMahon for costing him the title, saying that he told him to not get involved in the match, bringing him out to the ring with Rock and Shane going face-to-face, exchanging shots to end with Rock laying out Hunter and Chyna before being jumped by the corporation to officially end his run with the group, challenging Shane for a match tonight to kickstart his top babyface run delayed since November '98 with the corporate turn, with Rock and Austin now set to go head-to-head as the top two babyfaces for the top spot in the company. Rock on an AOL chat on Wednesday foreshadowed the upcoming turn, saying that he did everything to remain a heel but the people have already made up their mind, cutting short the originally planned long-term Rock vs. Austin program into the summer to instead gradually build both separately until the eventual clash to break every pay-per-view record in history. Following the big title change in the opening quarter, Nitro continued with another title match with Psychosis defending against Rey Mysterio, going 5 minutes with Rey winning the belt in the second title change in back-to-back matches, but with WCW opening stronger than usual due to the Sting Page match. The second quarter dropped big to a 3.8 rating, while Raw picked up over 500,000 viewers to a 5.6. Featuring Vince Patterson and Briscoe waiting for Taker's call after bringing all the signed documents he asked for to get Stephanie back, along with a Kane and X-Pac vs. Brood tag match going 3 minutes, ending with Kane getting a bloodbath and laying out X-Pac in the post-match angle. With Flair watching Sting's title win from the hospital, Flair called Robinson telling him to book Sting vs. Goldberg for the belt for the Slamboree pay-per-view, leading to Nash coming out with his title shot against Page now cancelled. Nash said that Flair must have forgot that he had a shot booked for the pay-per-view, instead challenging Goldberg, Page and Sting to come out later tonight for a four-way for the title in the main event. Raw continued to climb in the first hour with Taker calling McMahon to bring the briefcase at 10 p.m. but instead demanding Steve Austin to hand it to him, with Austin coming out moments later for the Backlash follow-up promo after Vince gave him the Smoking Skull belt back to close the show. Austin started with a response to Rock's promo earlier before Vince walked out telling Austin that he needs his help, as Austin taunted McMahon telling him to repeat what he said, with Vince saying that it's not about their feud but about his daughter, leading to Austin saying that he has enough problems and doesn't care about Vince or his family, leaving the angle open for the next hour with the Austin McMahon segment jumping over 900,000 viewers to a first-hour high 6.3 rating. With the wrestling boom featuring on every platform, the next high-profile piece came a few days ago with a cover story on Entertainment Weekly covering the massive spike of business for the industry. The magazine, which featured a Goldberg picture as the center, led to complaints from the WWF on why a WCW performer was presented as the main guy on the cover when the WWF significantly leads every business metric for months, leading to Vince McMahon sending a letter to the publication after the story also included a full-page picture of Goldberg with the caption of 35 million viewers can't be wrong, noting that the vast majority of these viewers are watching the WWF, which is exclusively responsible for the huge growth of viewership in the last year. Vince also accused Entertainment Weekly of featuring WCW because the magazine belongs to the Time Warner umbrella under Turner, with the magazine editor denying it, saying that they were only looking for pictures to make the most interesting layout for the cover. With WCW again taking only 3 commercial breaks in the first hour instead of the usual 5, Nitro opened its third hour with 2 commercial breaks in the quarter, while in the middle featuring footage from Hulk Hogan's knee surgery on Tuesday, playing off the injury angle with Hogan telling Bischoff that he should have taken out Page before the surgery, while Eric convinced Hogan to get his knee fixed before more damage is done, while Nash takes care of Page until he returns. Raw opened its second hour with the finish of a Triple H vs. Billy Gunn match, with the show now past 10 p.m. for the McMahon-Taker meeting, with Vince going to give him the documents himself after Austin refused to do it, followed by Mankind and Big Show teaming up a day after facing each other in a brutal boiler room brawl, facing Bossman and Test in a match going 5 minutes with the quarter picking back up over 500,000 viewers to a 6.3 rating. Ric Flair continued to give Robinson orders from the mental hospital telling him to book Booker vs. Steiner for the pay-per-view and make the 4-way a no DQ match for the main event, with the skit featuring a surprise appearance from Scott Hall making his TV return after not being seen in over 2 months, as the rest of the quarter saw the majority of a 10-minute four-way hardcore match. The WWF were preparing for the company's return to network television on Thursday, with the first ever SmackDown show about to be taped tomorrow night, with the expectation of it becoming a weekly TV show if the rating is above the UPN network average, as with Raw doing around 7 million viewers and Heat around 5. All indications pointing to the SmackDown special drawing big numbers, with the potential of more homes available outside the cable universe, with every top name on the roster set to appear on the show. Scott Steiner was out next on Nitro for a pre-match promo on Piper and Savage, with the reason for the match not being promoted heavily throughout the show despite it being a potentially big viewership mover with Savage's first match back in almost a year, was revealed quickly as Robinson put himself as the referee and disqualified Savage a minute in, bringing out George and Medusa to lay out Robinson in the build to their Slamboree match. With Vince still out of the building waiting for Taker, Raw took 2 quick commercial breaks in the next quarter and had a planned Shamrock vs. Bradshaw match being interrupted by Farouk to bring out Test for the save, starting a babyface turn after the last few weeks of exchanges with Bossman and Shane, with the Rock vs. Shane match coming up next. Nitro again took 2 commercial breaks in the quarter, which dropped it to a show-low 3.3 rating, taking one just before the match and the other after the main event entrances, with the Goldberg-Sting-Nash-Page 4-way title match starting almost at the top of the hour at 10:57 p.m., while at the same time Rock vs. Shane opened Raw's final quarter jumping over 900,000 viewers to a 6.3 rating, with the crowd popping big for Rock taking out Shane and the Posse until Triple H's interference. The rest of the quarter saw X-Pac calling out Kane after searching for him backstage in the last hour, making the save after an attack by Owen and Jarrett, followed by Taker and the Ministry bringing out Stephanie to the building with Vince still waiting for Taker in the planned location, carrying Stephanie to the ring on a symbol for the Taker ceremony segment coming up next. WCW continued the pattern of putting on big main event title matches over the last month, which gained big numbers to close the shows, with the 4-way title match going 8 minutes crossing into the 6-minute overrun, ending with Goldberg having the match won until Randy Savage's interference in the first Savage-Goldberg interaction on TV, giving Page the opportunity to lay out Nash for the finish and win back the title, with the match, while jumping over 500,000 viewers, didn't peak at the level of the previous weeks, doing a 3.6 rating. Undertaker started with a message to McMahon saying that he's not to blame for what is about to happen, as Vince did not live up to their deal, before starting the ceremony with Paul Bearer reading from a Ministry book until Shamrock and Big Show ran in for the save, with both taken out by the Ministry, setting up Steve Austin eventually running in to take out the entire group, with Taker bailing out of the ring, bringing out Vince McMahon to thank Austin for the save to close the show, with